In this video, we're going to share with you our 10-day itinerary for Spain. Hey guys, I'm Paul.
And I'm Bea.
And this is Everything is Bofo.
We're gonna talk about how to get there, where we stayed, and give you a little bit of a review on each of the places that we stayed at, the activities that we did, and obviously we're gonna show you some of the food that we ate.
And we're also going to share tips along the way.
All this after the intro. Alright, so this is a 10-day itinerary that I made for me and my cousins who visited over Fallas last year. So we're going to share with you how we got from Valencia to Madrid, from Madrid, Sevilla, Granada, Barcelona, and then back to Valencia. Most of the video will be from that trip, but also we wanted to include some of the other nice things that we saw in like the specific places. I think specifically Madrid and Barcelona.
Right. So this is going to be fairly quick because we're going to go through the whole thing. So make sure you have your pen and paper ready. First, we're going to talk about how we got to Madrid. If you're traveling locally, then you're probably going to be arriving in Madrid via train, which is how we got there from Valencia.
We took the Joaquin Sorolla station all the way to Puerta de Atocha station. There's another station called Chamartin, Clara Campo Amor, or something like that. But that's not as pretty as the Atocha Gardens. So we opted to arrive at Atocha just so we could see the beauty of the gardens.
Another way of arriving in Madrid is the obvious way, which is from your country of origin at the airport. So you could either rent a car, grab a cab, or take one of the public transportation options.
Although for the cab, make sure that they just enter whatever's on the meter because there's no flat fare. It is whatever is on the meter, which should be cheap enough.
Right. Or to make it easier for you, we're going to put a link in the description of our favorite app called Free Now, which you should download before you arrive.
It's a taxi app. So here's the hotels that we've stayed at or our friends have stayed in, which they enjoyed. So in 2022, we stayed at the Hotel Emperador. I chose this specifically because it was in August and they had a rooftop pool. So it was nice because we were able to enjoy a little bit of that in the summer heat of Spain.
And I remember they had a rooftop bar also, which served really good tinto de verano. Remember that?
Yeah, so at nighttime, that's where we also hung out.
Next is an Airbnb that we rented with her cousins called bnbholder.com, and this one is in the Puerta del Sol area.
This was nice because we all had our own bedrooms. It had 2 bathrooms. The only thing I think that was kind of weird was there were no plugs on the kitchen counter, so we couldn't plug in a coffee maker. It was on the floor.
Oh yeah.
That was the only weird part. We couldn't find the outlet. If there were any, we couldn't find them. But it was beautifully done. It was very comfortable. It had a nice balcony and it was very, very close to everything that we needed in Madrid.
The neighborhood was nice too.
Yeah. Next is Vinci, the Mint Hotel, which is also around Gran Via. And this was a nice hotel. We didn't stay here, but our friends did. And I think breakfast was included. I'm not sure, but it was a nice central location and it was right off Gran Via. So this was another great hotel for you guys to consider. And then one of the cheaper hotels that we found last minute when we had to stay in Madrid overnight is called the Walt Madrid, which is like a nice hotel, small but very clean. And like for something simple, I think it did the job very well. And then we also stayed at Petit Palace Puerta del Sol, which was also by Puerta del Sol. So if you noticed, all of these hotels that we mentioned are around the same general area of Gran Via and Puerta del Sol, which made them very accessible. And because we were walking around a lot, it was nice that we were always ending up somewhere where there was a lot of food, there was a lot of things to do, and then if we were tired, we could just go rest for a little bit, have our siesta, and then come back out at night, and we would still be like right in the action of things. And one thing we did one time make a mistake and stayed, because it was what, $10 cheaper we stayed like all the way across to the other side of Retiro Park, which we thought, it's still close enough because we're close to Retiro Park. But what happened was we ended up taking a taxi more than once because it was just a little too far from everything that was, we had to do. Like we had to meet people around Gran Via and yeah. So for us, lesson learned, stay close to where the action is.
So what are the activities and places that you could visit? First is the garden at the Atocha station. If you're planning to visit, the garden is super easy to get to since it's right inside Atocha station. Whether you're waiting for your train or just in need of a break, this hidden gem is open year-round and always ready to offer a bit of nature's calm. With its unique blend of natural beauty and city convenience, the garden at Atocha station is a must-see in Madrid.
So aside from the garden at Atocha station, we happened to be walking in Madrid and saw Mercado de San Anton, which is a lesser-known market. So this one is not populated with a lot of people, but you'll also find some souvenirs and jamon and other things you might want to try, other food that you might want to try. But it is a little bit smaller.
Next is Retiro Park, which is kind of like a Central Park, right, in New York.
Yeah, but there's a lake there. There's it's filled with people. There's a lot of buskers. How do you say that? Like people who play the violin and like there's mascots, and it's a very touristy area for sure, but it's very beautiful. There's a lake and you can actually take a rent a rowboat around the lake.
The big boating lake is a hit when you can rent a rowboat and paddle around. Right next to it, the impressive monument to Alfonso XII stands tall, making it a great spot for photos or just hanging out.
There's also the Crystal
Palace,
yes.
Yeah. One of the park's highlights is the Crystal Palace, a beautiful 19th century building made of glass and iron that sparkles in the sunlight.
Which becomes almost like a greenhouse when it's summer. It's really hot in there during the summer, or actually anytime there's sun. And what else? Oh, and there's a rose garden in there too that we stumbled upon. So it's really big. I mean, we've been to Madrid 7-8 times already, and I think we stumbled upon that garden last year.
Yeah, we still haven't walked around enough for us to be familiar with that whole place because it's so big. All in all, Retiro Park captures the essence of Madrid, full of history, culture, and natural beauty. Whether you're looking to relax, soak up some art, or just enjoy the outdoors, this park has something for everyone. Next place you should visit is El Corte Inglés rooftop, because I feel like that is where it has one of the best views of the city. And
I mean, if you've had a drink there, you could get a drink there and sit in one of the cocktail tables and see. But inside you can see like lines of, it will tell you which silhouette is which in the city line, in the cityscape, I mean. Yeah, there's an outline of every single landmark that you can see from afar. So, instead of like, I wonder what that thing is, that it's just gonna line up and then you'll see which one is which. You'll see from the Royal Palace to, what else can you see from there? I can't quite remember.
The Schweppes buildings there. I don't know what that is.
Is it?
Oh, yung may Schweppes.
Is it there? You can see it from there?
It's in front of the
Is
building.
It? Oh, yeah. Okay. Another popular place to go to would be Puerta del Sol because there's a lot of restaurants and bars and shops to go to. I think that and Gran Via is like where everything is kind of like connected. Like it's the busiest part. They say watch out for pickpockets. So far, so good. And also like that's where you'll see like the biggest places for shopping, like the biggest Zara store, I think, the biggest Primark store that we've seen, which is like 7 stories high. And then also one thing that I want to mention is if you go inside the Uniqlo in Madrid, it's a really pretty building. It's really nice, and I can't believe they turned it into a Uniqlo of all things. I mean, I would think an office or a bank or I don't know, or a museum. But yeah, it's a treat to see too.
The next one is Plaza Mayor, which is probably the most famous postcard spot there in Madrid. You always see these in pictures and video. For sure, it's a must visit.
The restaurants around it are a little bit touristy, but so just take a look around and see. But there is one place where the sandwich with the calamares is famous for. So you'll see it around there. We haven't tried it yet because there's always a long line, but one day we will. And also, this takes you a little bit. If you exit Plaza Mayor, you actually can see Mercado San Miguel on one side, and then on the other side is the street of the Cuchinilleros. That arch right there. So it's a nice archway. If you go down that way, you'll see right through the street that winds down.
But every corner of that place is very picturesque. That's the reason why there's a lot of like touristy restaurants and bars there. Once you walk further down that street, you'll see one of the oldest working restaurants in the world, called Restaurante Botín.
And they serve cochinillo. We've eaten there twice already, and it's really good. I think it's worth it. It's worth a visit. You do need reservations months in advance.
Right. And it's just so beautiful in there because once you get there, there's like a cave there downstairs where you could visit like a wine cellar, an old wine cellar. It's just watch your head because it's really, really tiny.
And then talking about Mercado San Miguel on the other side of Plaza Mayor, you will see it's an indoor food hall. So it's not really a mercado, like it's not the palenque where you can buy fresh produce. It's mostly food that's already prepared, tapas and fruit juices, ice cream, I believe is in there as well.
Baked goods.
Yeah, some sweets and all that.
Of course, there's cocktails, there's a bar.
Yeah. So it's always packed. So, I mean, pictures are nice inside, but it does get pretty packed also. That's very pretty. And the pricing of the food, a little bit for tourists. And then we went to the Prado Museum, I think at 5 p.m. or 5:30 when the pricing changed to free. So, and I think we still had about an hour or 2 hours before they closed at that point. So it was nice we were able to see everything, especially the La Gioconda del Prado, which is like what they said is the second to the final draft of the Mona Lisa. And to me, it is worth a visit because you can actually see it as opposed to when we went to Louvre.
Yes.
And tried to see the Mona Lisa, and we did not get very close. Here, we were the only ones there.
Yeah.
So we took our time. We were very up close, and we were able to see how pretty the Mona Lisa is.
You just can't take photos, so make sure. Another place that you could visit is the Royal Palace. And, well, we haven't visited the Royal Palace yet, but our friends have, and they said it's really, really nice inside. You can take
pictures.
Videos,
yeah, so we don't know how good it is inside, but one day when we go back, we will go see the Royal Palace.
Right. We stood outside and
took pictures there.
Tried to sober down
from the heat. Ooh, one thing that we did do on one of our other trips to Madrid was to see a flamenco show, and we went to this Michelin star restaurant, so we had a dinner and a show, and it was all done very well. They instructed us to take out our phones and film for the first 5 minutes of the show, and then the rest of the time there's no more phones, which was great because then everybody could actually see the show up on stage, and it's very moving, very professional, and the food was very good as well.
And then we got to enjoy the food first before the show, which was great because, we took our time. There's obviously less noise when no one's eating while the show is going on, so it was perfect. Next is probably one of my favorites. It's the Thyssen Museum.
Why is it his favorite? Because it happened to show Lucian Freud on the day that we visited. And yeah, that's his favorite. Not so much. You have to go see his artwork. It's impressive, but also very green. The colors are very like green, pallid, and yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say because they're all nude.
No, like the pallor of the skin. Yeah.
Yeah, reality.
And then, if you happen to be there when there's the Madrid Open, I encourage you to go because it is such a nice arena. It is easy to get to. They actually will tell you which metro to take, and then it'll be like a 10-15 minute walk from the metro station. And yeah, it's just a good tournament if you're a tennis fan, or if you want to see something different, if you want to see a sport.
I think Madrid, out of the 3 venues that we've watched tennis at, Madrid Open was one of the nicer ones.
Oh no, Indian Wells for me.
I like Madrid because they have clay, right?
Yeah, but Indian Wells for me.
And we got to see Rafa in Madrid.
Well, you got to see Rafa in Madrid, yeah. And then same goes for football. You can go watch your favorite team play at the Bernabeu Stadium.
We don't really watch football. We started watching football, but we haven't really gotten into it to want to go visit that stadium. But for sure, we would love to visit that stadium.
We haven't done this yet, but I heard that it is quick to go to either Segovia or Toledo for a day trip. I think it's just a 30-minute bus ride or something like that. So those are other things that you may want to do while you're in Madrid. Overall, we think that you'll probably need 2 to 3 days to see the city, and if you're there for a little longer, you can do this side trip that I'm talking about, Segovia or Toledo.
Now we go to my favorite part, where to eat, or where we ate at least. There's this one bar that we stumbled upon while walking around, and it's called La Perejila, and they have like €2 vermouths.
Yeah.
And then they have happy hour, right?
And Tinto de Verano and whatever else we drank. I don't remember. It was really hot. But this was located in Cava Baja, which is a nice decorated place during the summer. And you can see that because you'll see like bandanas, like decorating the street. But on a regular day, you won't know that it's Cava Baja because when those are gone, it just looks like a regular, like part of Madrid. Yeah.
Another area that you could go to for tapas is called Los Caracoles, and they serve these stewed snails in a really, really nice, tasty broth. We ordered a bunch of other things, but we were pretty much there for drinks and the Los Caracoles because our friends wanted to have an authentic Madrileño experience. So that was a great experience for all of us.
And then we've talked about this before, but this is still like our favorite stop. Whenever we're in Madrid, it's called Gyoza Go. And you can see through their window that they hand make these gyozas. And I mean, I guess true to the name, Gyoza Go, you eat the gyoza and then you have to go. I mean, we weren't finished with our drinks, but then she told us like we were done eating, so we gotta go.
But yeah,
but they're my favorite. I love them.
Yeah, it was a great experience for our friends too, because sometimes you kind of like crave for something else, and if you're craving for Asian food, Gyoza goes for sure.
It's a nice quick snack, and it's close to the Plaza Mayor, right? Yeah.
Right, across Mercado San Miguel. Now, if you're looking for dessert and having authentic Madrileño experience, we highly suggest visiting Chocolateria San Gines.
And the 1902 Chocolateria. So there's 2 of them and they're actually close to each other. So I think you need to try both. San Gines is more popular. It's been featured in like somebody feed Phil for sure.
Yeah, a lot of
blogs have featured them, and I think there is a reason for that. They do have good churros, but also try the churros at the 1902 because I thought that was also very
It wasn't
good.
bad, yeah. And they also have the flor de chocolate, which is kind of like I don't remember which city specializes in that, but it's a very different experience because it's like crunchy, chocolatey. Sometimes it's served with just sugar or honey, but it's a yummy dessert.
Okay, and our tips for Madrid. Number 1, Madrid is a very big city and it's very walkable, so wear comfortable shoes. Also, there are inclines sometimes, so be prepared for that. So your Apple Map won't tell you that it's inclined. Maybe it will. Now I think about it, I think now it does.
It does?
Yeah. But yeah, so sometimes they're inclined, so be prepared for that. So if you are trying to go to the museum at a certain time, you give yourself like a few more minutes because it could slow you down if you didn't know that it was uphill.
Also, next, when it comes to safety, make sure you watch your stuff. Especially when you're wearing a backpack. Try to see if someone's getting too close to you or something like that because
especially when you're in crowded places like Puerta del Sol or Gran Via, there's just too many people around you. Just make sure that you have all of your stuff with you and make sure that no one can access it.
And when it comes to securing your spot, when it comes to restaurants, make sure you make a reservation beforehand. And when it comes to museums or any of the other attractions, make sure you buy your tickets in advance because those things can get pretty booked up really fast.
All right, next up is Sevilla.
How did we get to Sevilla?
We took a train from Madrid down to Sevilla, and I think it was about 3 hours long. So, and on the train, some of my cousins slept, and some of us went to the bar where we had a drink or two. It was nice because like the train was moving like this, and then we went back to our seats, took a nap, and then before we knew it, we were in Sevilla. From Sevilla to our Airbnb, we did have to take a bus. So make sure that you have like 10 euros, nothing bigger than 10 euros to pay the bus driver. I think it was either €1.50 or €2.50 per trip. I believe it's €1.50, I'm not sure. But when I handed 20, the guy goes, no, that bill's too big. But then I explained to him that there were 5 of us. And that's when he said, okay. And then for our Airbnb, we stayed at villamaya.com, which is another Airbnb. And that one was also good. This one had 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and then a pull-out in the living room area. So it was still a good size for everybody. And we're very happy with the location. It was nice, it was safe. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it was just I think the only thing was in that area there wasn't a lot of places to go to except for like the bars, the local bars and the restaurants, which we weren't used to the times when it's siesta time or they close early or whatever. So that area where we had the Airbnb at, it was a little farther from where we wanted to be and where we wanted to visit. So that's the only problem. But you know, Sevilla's very walkable too. So, and it's safe even at night. So.
And I think like Sevilla for me, at least the area where we stayed at, was very pretty. Like the small streets with, you could see the houses and the pottery and the plants and all that up along the walls. It really truly was like a postcard picture. So I thought Sevilla was like a really authentic Spanish town, like with barely any tourists, maybe just us. So yeah, you do need to learn more Spanish when you go to the southern part of Spain. Yes. So we were only in Sevilla for about 24 hours. So we arrived there in the afternoon and we were quite hungry, but then most of the Most of the restaurants had closed because it was siesta. We arrived at like maybe 4. So I think we were only able to get one drink in. And then we had to go home and refresh. And then we went back out and we went to see Plaza de España right before sunset. So it was so beautiful. I think that you could spend at least an hour, 2 hours there just exploring and walking around. Also has a lake, so you can also do that rowboat. I don't know what it is with rowboats, but Valencia had one, Madrid had one, and now Seville had one. So there's like man-made lakes where you can kind of row. Sunset is the best time to go. Obviously, it's just the prettiest plaza that we have been to. And there were also flamenco dancers that were dancing there for free. So you can just go and watch a few and then give them a tip or two. And then on the way to Plaza de España, we saw this one little bar that said their fruit wines were only €1. So on our way back, we had dinner, and then afterwards we looked for that bar specifically so that we could drink their wine made of oranges for €1 each. And it was so tiny, it was nice. It was just us and then this one lady, and then afterwards 2 other guys came. And
the only thing is we couldn't drink it outside because you could only drink it inside the bar.
Inside the bar, so we had to stay within the bar.
There wasn't any outdoor seating anyway, but it was a fun experience. Be sure to learn Spanish.
So what would my tip be? I think that Sevilla should be a 2-day trip. We didn't get to see the setas inside. We were only able to see it from outside, and we ate right by the restaurant that had that view. So, I mean, I guess it was okay. But I wish that we had stayed longer in Sevilla. Maybe at least like 2 full days, right?
Yeah, I wish we visited at least one museum, which was, I think, the Royal Alcazar is the famous one there. And I feel like we should have watched a flamenco show there too, because that's where it came from.
Instead of just a free show, I wish we had seen one more in there. Yeah. And then following Sevilla, we took an Alsa bus to Granada, which is a 3-hour bus ride. And this one cost us €20 each. And all we did was get on the bus, put on our seatbelts, and then we were gone. We were like all asleep. So from once we arrived in Granada, we took another bus to take us to where our hotel was at. And this hotel is like a family-owned pension called Pension Landazuri, and it is so charming. We had booked 2 rooms, so we both had like bathrooms in each of the rooms. And it was run by this family where grandma was there on some days, sometimes the grandson was there, and then sometimes the mom was there. And they were all very helpful. I think the kid and the mom spoke English, but grandma not so much.
But she's the one who helped us. She cleaned wine glasses for us.
Yeah, gave us wine glasses so that we could drink up on the patio.
With that amazing view. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had a view of the Alhambra at night.
Which, talking about Alhambra, that pensione is super close to the Alhambra that we just walked up, 45 minutes going to that gate.
Yeah, we thought we were gonna be late. No, but we made it. I think it was about 30-45 minutes walk up to the Alhambra, and we made it in time to join our group tour. And then Granada is a nice town where I think it's more alive than Sevilla, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I feel like there's more things to do right away, especially where our pension was at. We walked a little bit towards their Plaza Mayor, and right?
No, I remember we wanted to walk around, and we saw that there's this spot with a nice view, I think on Google Maps or something.
Right.
And then we just plotted it on the thing, and then we just walk around. Turned out we walked in one of the old neighborhoods, like the old town of Granada, which was great because that's where all the kids hung out.
That's where they were drinking.
Yep.
Blasting their music. Yeah.
Felt like a kid again.
through with that crowd. So also we went to the market, which was very nice and picturesque, and you could, get a lot of like souvenir shopping. It almost felt like a Medina, because it was just rows and rows of shops and tiny shops, and with lots of like clothes that were there, like leather stuff. I know, leather goods, some scarves, postcards, all of these things. So I liked that. I think I like that part as well.
Right. So what we've noticed is when you drive further south in Spain, you'll notice a more influence, an Arabic influence when it comes to their food or the things that they're selling. So it was even the architecture was different. It was amazing.
I mean, obviously, the reason we went to Granada was so that we could see the Alhambra, and it did not disappoint. From our pension, we could see it lit up at night, and it was very pretty. But when you went inside to look at the architecture from how many years ago? Oh my goodness. And it was just so intricate and so beautiful and still so well preserved. We did go take a tour, which I recommend you do, because it's hard to get tickets, first of all, and we didn't even get to see the entire thing because we couldn't get tickets with the palaces for some reason. So we were only there at the garden grounds, and but yeah, it was cool to hear how they did everything with the aqueduct so that they could get some water into the village, and how they made it into a fort. All of those things, all of the historical things that you will learn when you go visit Alhambra. So you must not miss it. If you're going to Spain, go to Granada, go see the Alhambra.
Just make sure you book in advance. I think you can book months in advance. So the earlier you book, the better. Our tour, we learned so much from the guide. There is also a line for people who don't have tickets, who didn't buy tickets or buy a tour, but then it was just so full that they just the security just sent them home because there wasn't any chance that there was going to be an open slot. So
we couldn't even get into the palaces for whatever reason. The rest of our tour group was able to get in, but for us, our tickets was sold out. We couldn't get into that part.
So what to eat? For me, the most important part is what you should eat. And talking about earlier about the Arabic influence, when it comes to food, we wanted to make sure that we tried something, and it did not disappoint. Granada also specializes in this thing called pionono.
Just like a little tiny bundt cake like that.
It has to be chilled, so it's try to keep the
And I think we've tried the best churro con chocolate in Granada. And it just tasted different. Like it tasted something from childhood.
Yeah, it almost tasted like Ovaltine. It's not very, very thick, and you can tell it's not like the very dark color. So I think it's just a milder version of like the chocolate that we're used to, but I think it was probably like the best version of chocolate we've had.
Yeah, we've tried it with porras, right?
Yeah.
It was like circular. They fried it circular in a circular way. So good.
And then from Granada, we flew all the way to Barcelona. And the flight was about an hour long, if that. It's very, very quick. And it was the fastest way to get there. There were no trains that went from Granada to Barcelona. So, I mean, I do think that Spain could probably improve on that so that we could, you know, just do a fast train to Barcelona, but we didn't find any at that time.
Was it, were there less flights? That's the reason why we arrived in Barcelona at like 11:30 at night? Or
Was it cheap? No, we just wanted to stay there for that
okay.
long because we were in a hotel, which means we could leave our luggage at the lobby, as opposed to Airbnb where, you know, when it's checkout time, you just bring your things. This is why I like going to hotels generally. And yeah, so because we could store our luggage and we wanted to explore a little bit more of Granada, we took the like very late flight to Barcelona. And then from there, we checked into, again, another Airbnb. The only reason why we're checking into Airbnbs is because there's 5 of us. If it was just Paul and me, I always book hotels. All right, where to stay? This is something that I feel like is such a sore subject and not a lot of people probably agree with me, or maybe they will. All right, so Barcelona is very expensive. I have not found a hotel under 140 euros that's decent. Maybe one, that's it. So all of the other times that we've been there has been lackluster, which, you know, if you're on vacation, you're already starting off on like on a bad note if your hotel is just okay. So yeah, I think of all the times that I've stayed in Barcelona, I've only not even enjoyed. I've found NH Hotel Les Corts great, but the rest of the time I was there, oh man, like the Airbnb was the most expensive one and it was the crappiest one on our 10-day trip. So yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I would say have a bigger budget for Barcelona, which obviously we did not have. But yeah, for Barcelona, maybe 200 a night would be good, which I don't think it deserves that, but okay. Moving on, but the places to go to, obviously is the Sagrada Familia, which they said will be finished in a couple of years. So I would say see it now while it's not finished, I guess. And then, you know, come back in a few years and say like, oh yeah, I saw it when they were still constructing it. Yeah. So it's also hard to get tickets to the Sagrada Familia with tours and stuff. Our friend booked some tours maybe a couple of weeks ago, and then just this past week I wanted to join them on the tour and all the tours were sold out. So I had to get a different ticket and not have a tour and just see them there inside. So book those tickets in advance, months in advance.
Next is Park Güell, which is also, you have to make reservations. It also has time slots. They're both created by Gaudi, so that's why everyone wants to visit.
Super famous. And I think those are actually like must-sees. Park Güell, especially because, you know, you're enjoying it under the Spanish sun. So it's a really nice garden and it goes up and then down. So it's actually a big park. And to get there, there is an incline if you're walking, that takes you up there as well. So yeah, be prepared for a lot of walking in Barcelona, especially because a lot of the landmarks are far apart. So either take the bus or just be prepared to walk. Park Güell especially, I think we were there for maybe 2 or 3 hours just walking around, taking pictures, having fun. So it's not something that you just drop in and then, okay, gotta go, move on to the next. Like, really spend time there and see how pretty and how intricate everything looks.
Right. There's like tiny roads that leads to like a house somewhere, and it's just really nice. But one thing we've realized was there's 2 entrances. Remember that Google told us to go this way, and we're like, no, we know where the entrance is, and we just walk straight. Turns out there's another one in the back. So when we got into the park and we went all the way up, there's another entrance there.
Yeah.
Follow the Maps app.
Another famous area in Barcelona is La Rambla, which is a huge stretch of trees. And what can I tell you about it? A lot of restaurants are there, a lot of people walk there, and if you reach the end of it, you're gonna hit Christopher Columbus. But La Rambla, so they said, be careful of pickpockets. Nothing happened to us. Like my cousins were ready, they were alert and all that. But yeah, as long as you keep your belongings close to you and don't talk to anyone, don't look anyone in the eye, just keep going straight, you should be fine. And off to the side of La Rambla is the La Boqueria market. And then off to the right of La Rambla is like a little square that they had. And that one was also cool. It had a fountain in the middle, and there's restaurants and bars lining there. And I thought their food there was a little bit cheaper, and the drinks were a little bit cheaper than the ones lining up on La Rambla.
Yeah, it looked like Plaza Mayor, right?
Yeah.
And then right next to that plaza is called the Gothic Quarter, which is the old town. The one thing that we feel like you shouldn't miss and look out for are those opera singers that position themselves in the middle of these streets because I guess the acoustics sound better. And you'll know because you can hear him. And number 2, there's gonna be a lot of people gathered around them.
Yeah, so it's a nice way to end your evening when you're walking around the Gothic Quarter and you hear opera singers or musicians, but most definitely the opera singers. Wow, fantastic. And then another thing you shouldn't miss if you're a fan of architecture and Gaudi is Casa Batlló. They do light it up at night sometimes, so it's very pretty and very Gothic looking, and you can buy tickets to go inside.
Right.
And then further to the right is another mercado, that's kind of nice and bougie looking. And we'll link the name of that here because I forget, we were there just one time, but I thought it was really cool. And then if you're into beaches, check out Barceloneta Beach, which is Barcelona's beach.
And for Barcelona, these are the places that we ate at. Number 1, well, we've made a video out of this already, Ciutat Comtal. This is always a go-to when we are in Barcelona, and we still get new things from the menu, and it still surprises us. It's still good.
Don't forget to get their cake, the Santa Teresita Torreja. Yeah, that one. It's good. And then the next one that we ate at is Can Valles. The only thing about this restaurant is that you have to call to make a reservation. You can't do an online booking with this. So when our friend said that she wanted to try out this restaurant, I had to make the call. And then the first time I tried calling, it was always a busy signal on the hours of operation. So actually, it took me a couple of tries before I was able to get through. But yeah, I mean, that's Can Valles. It's very busy. It's very popular in Barcelona.
I feel like my only tip for Barcelona when it comes to seeing all these sites is just getting a tour, because there's either a tour for one site, which is like one tour for La Sagrada Familia, one tour for Park Güell, and then there's another tour for like everything Gaudi or architectural tour, which I feel like you shouldn't miss, because it's just so different. Like architecture in Spain in general is so different, so having these tours would really help you maximize your vacation.
Overall for Barcelona, I think you can allot maybe 3 to 4 days if you're not the type to take a cab, if you want to walk, because it does take a long time to walk from one place to another.
The farther you are from the center, the longer it's going to take, because I remember we went to Barcelona Open, and we were staying at this place closer to the
Tres Torres.
and it took us like 40 minutes to get to the center train. So I don't think it's worth it. I feel like you have to stay closer to the center when you visit.
Right. Which I
Barcelona.
feel like Barcelona doesn't really have a center. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like Madrid, where you know for sure, okay, you're gonna go to Granada and you're gonna go to Sol, or like Seville, where
The cathedral and Plaza de España are right next to each other.
or even Granada and like the town is like right next to each other. I feel like Barcelona, it's just so big, it's so widespread. So that's why I would say maybe take 3 days in Barcelona if you want to see everything.
I think that's the reason why we got that okay Airbnb, is because it's closer to Park Güell. What I liked about that Airbnb was when you have coffee in the morning and you go out to the balcony, you can see La Sagrada Familia from the balcony. So I feel like if you're staying in Barcelona, that view is the one you should look out for, because since everything's far apart from each other, there's only one view that you would love to see, and it's the La Sagrada Familia from your window.
Yeah, good point. And then, of course, our favorite, we're going back to Valencia. From Barcelona, we took a train down to Valencia. We took the Renfe, which is about 3.5 hours. And it is the only train to Valencia. You don't get to choose you don't get to pick a different train operator. And to me, 3.5 hours is quite long, because it's just the same as driving.
I mean, it's not too bad, because most of the trains here, well, all of the trains here have a bar in one
To pass the time, yes.
So you can just hang out in the bar. It's not too bad.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it is a little too long. It's not really a fast train, in my opinion, because Madrid to Valencia is about 1.5 hours. So for the same distance, this one is like 3.5 hours. Anyway, in Valencia, we have done a lot of videos, so please feel free to pick any of the other videos that we have about things to do in Valencia, places to see, and where to eat, and activities you can do. And yeah, I would say for Valencia, you probably can spend about 2 to 3 days, because this is a very small city compared to Barcelona and compared to Madrid. So you will see a lot within just like a stone's throw away from the next tourist attraction, and it's filled with churches that you can enter at sometimes and just marvel of the beauty of each of these churches. There's museums also, and a lot of it is really just walkable. Almost everything is about 20 minutes away. So for things to do in Valencia that are not free, because we haven't covered that in any of our videos, but the ones that are paid would be the Oceanographic, which is the largest aquarium in Europe, and we went ahead and saw that with our friends. And
you probably spent like half a day, huh?
Yeah, so that was a nice experience. You get to see a lot of aquariums. There's also a dolphin show that they did, but it is at the end of the City of Arts and Sciences, so just follow that road where you see all of the other white buildings, and you're gonna go right into the City of Arts and Sciences.
And then the other things that you can do that we haven't done yet are the walking tour for all of the historic spots like the cathedral or the torres and the museums, or you could also do a food and wine tour here.
One more notable thing that you can see is the Cathedral de San Nicolas, which has quite a hefty entry fee, so we haven't been in there yet. We were hoping that we were gonna do that with Paul's mom because, you know, she loves churches, but she didn't want to do it. So we're waiting for like the next person who does want to go see it so we can all go together and look. They say it's the Sistine Chapel of Valencia. It's that beautiful.
My mom didn't want to pay for an entrance.
So that's it for our 10-day itinerary. I would say maybe like 3 to 4 days in Madrid, about 2 days in Sevilla, 2 days in Granada, 2 to 3 days in Barcelona, and then maybe another 2 or 3 days in Valencia. So just like, you know, factor in like the travel time. I would say factor in half a day for the train rides from Madrid to Sevilla, or like the bus ride from Sevilla to Granada. But I feel that you'll get to see a lot within like a 10-day period.
So what have you learned? Number one is learn a little bit of Spanish. You know, they appreciate it when you try to speak in Spanish, and they're super helpful when it comes to waiting for you to express what you want to say.
And then don't forget to bring cash and small bills, because you'll need that when you're using public transportation, or when you're buying something at the smaller markets, the local markets. It's preferable if you pay in cash.
When it comes to food places, for lunch, make sure you try their menu del dia. And for dinner, make sure you make reservations, because it's almost impossible to get a table when it comes to these places that are famous that you want to visit.
Same goes for your attractions that you want to see, your must-see attractions. You have to book them months in advance.
And finally, take the tours that these cities offer. It's either a free tour or a paid tour. We'll put all of the links in the description below, but make sure you take the tour because it's easier for you to absorb and enjoy the city when someone is telling you about the history and the story behind it.
So that's our 10-day tour. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I hope that we were able to enumerate a lot of fun activities for you to do.
I hope it really helps because it can get confusing and exciting at the same time. Hopefully this organized your itinerary a little bit.
Thank you for our subscribers that continually watch us. Thank you for people who have bought us a coffee or have given us super thanks. We really appreciate you guys for keeping our channel going. Or if you want to know more about moving here or visiting here, you can also join our Facebook community, Moving to Spain.
And if you want to know more about our travels or about traveling in Spain, you should watch this next video.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Adios.